Part 1. The Thread Between Worlds. There's a moment, perhaps you felt it, when everything around you slows down. The world stops being a series of random events and becomes a string of symbols, a sequence of signs. You think of someone, and they call. You dream of a place, and the next day you find yourself there. It's easy to call these coincidences, but deep down we know better. Something is listening. Something is responding. In that space between thought and outcome, between desire and manifestation, lies a secret science that ancient mystics and modern physicists are both beginning to understand. That secret is quantum entanglement. Imagine this: two particles, born from the same source, separated by galaxies, still communicate instantly. Not through sound, not through light, but through something beyond space and time. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But what if this isn't just about particles? What if our thoughts, our deepest, most focused intentions are entangled with the events of our lives? What if consciousness is not just a byproduct of the universe, but a conductor of it? We've been taught to see reality as something out there, something separate from us. But the truth is, we are never observing reality objectively, we are creating it subjectively. Every belief we hold, every emotion we feel, every image we maintain in our minds, these are not passive states. They are active frequencies. They are data points being sent into a field of infinite potential. And that field is listening. Always.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
You might be wondering, how does thought interact with matter? How can something as intangible as a mental image reshape something as dense as physical reality? The answer lies in vibration. Everything vibrates: your body, your cells, your thoughts. And vibration is the language of the quantum field. When you hold a thought long enough, with enough emotional charge and clarity, you entangle it with the field. You don't just think the thought, you become the frequency of it. And once that happens, the universe begins organizing itself to reflect it. But this isn't about wishful thinking or surface-level affirmations. This is about deep congruence. If you say you want abundance, but carry the frequency of lack, the field responds to your vibration, not your words. If you visualize health, but live in fear of illness, entanglement occurs not with your vision, but with your fear. The field is impartial. It doesn't judge, it mirrors. So ask yourself, what am I entangled with right now? What reality is my energy in a relationship with? Let's go deeper. Think of your thoughts as threads. Every time you repeat a thought, you strengthen that thread, like spinning a quantum cord into the fabric of space. When that thread becomes strong enough, when thought, emotion, and action weave into one, you create a quantum bridge, a connection, an entanglement. And once that bridge is formed, reality begins to pull toward you that which matches its frequency, sometimes slowly, sometimes instantly. But here's the twist. It's not just what you think, it's what you expect. Expectation is the subconscious frequency that holds the true signature of your belief. You can say, I believe in miracles, but if you expect disappointment, the field mirrors your expectation. That's why many people feel like manifestation doesn't work. It does. It's just working based on their unconscious entanglements. The field is always responding to the truth beneath your words. This brings us to a powerful realization. You are already entangled with something. You are already linked to a version of reality that matches your predominant frequency. The question is, are you entangled consciously or unconsciously? Most people live in unconscious entanglement. They bond with fear, with trauma, with scarcity, not because they choose to, but because they haven't become aware of their own energy. Awareness is the first step to liberation. When you become aware, you can choose. And when you choose, you can rewire the thread. So how do we do this? How do we consciously entangle with the life we truly desire? First, we must get still. The quantum field does not respond to noise, it responds to coherence. Stillness is coherence. Meditation isn't just relaxation, it's recalibration. It's the act of aligning your mind and body to a singular frequency. When you enter a meditative state, not just mentally, but emotionally, you begin to shift your entanglement. You start tuning your being to the version of reality you desire. And then comes the image. Visualization isn't about creating something imaginary. It's about seeing something real before it becomes visible. The more vividly you see it, the more emotionally you feel it, the more powerfully you entangle with it. But you must go beyond seeing, you must become. You must feel as if it's already done. You must speak from it, walk from it, breathe from it. Because the field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. Now here's the profound part. Time doesn't exist in the quantum field the way we perceive it. There is no later in entanglement. There is only now. The future version of you, the one who has already manifested the life you seek, already exists. In the quantum field, all possibilities exist simultaneously. Your job is not to create that future. Your job is to align with it, to entangle with the version of you who already lives it. But alignment is not passive. It is a daily discipline. It means observing your thoughts without judgment and gently bringing them back to coherence. It means noticing when fear enters the field and choosing trust. It means walking through uncertainty with the inner knowing that the bridge is already built. You just haven't seen it yet, but the field has. And it's waiting for you to match its frequency. Let us consider something deeper. What if every person you meet, every challenge you face, every moment of contrast is not random, but part of your entanglement path? What if the obstacles are not blocks but calibrations? Every time you face resistance, you are given a choice to react from your old frequency or to respond from your new one. This is how the field tests your resonance, not to punish, but to refine. Are you really who you say you are becoming? And here is where the magic begins. When you pass those tests, not perfectly, but consistently, you begin to see the shift. Synchronicities increase. Opportunities arise. People show up who feel like they were sent by something greater. This is not luck. This is quantum law. This is the entangled web of thought and reality realigning itself around your new vibration. And when you witness it, you begin to trust not just the process but your own power within it. But let's be honest, there will be moments of doubt. There will be days when the evidence doesn't match the vision. That's when most people break the thread. They give up just before the bridge stabilizes. But what if those moments of darkness are not the end but the final test? What if the field is asking you, do you still believe? even when it's invisible, because that's when the entanglement finalizes. That's when the timeline locks in. So I ask you now, what thread are you willing to weave with your thoughts? What reality are you ready to bond with through your belief, your emotion, your expectation? Are you willing to become the frequency of the life you seek, even before you see it? Because that is the secret. Not to wait for the world to change, but to change so completely that the world has no choice but to follow. You are not a bystander in this universe. You are a co-creator. You are entangled with every star, every particle, every possibility. And the moment you remember that, the moment you claim it not as an idea, but as a lived reality, you begin to walk through life as the field itself. Not begging for miracles, but breathing them into form. Not chasing destiny, but being it. And that is where the real journey begins. Part 2, when the observer becomes the creator. There comes a moment along the spiritual path where you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin wondering, what was my frequency when this happened? That moment marks the shift from victim to creator, from being entangled unconsciously to becoming entangled deliberately. You start to realize that reality is not just a screen onto which your life plays out. It is a mirror, one that reflects not what you wish for, but what you are. And this mirror responds instantly not to your words or actions, but to the vibration of your inner state. This is why two people can walk into the same room and have entirely different experiences. One sees opportunity, the other sees threat. One feels love, the other feels ignored. It's not the room that changes, it's the receiver. Your thoughts are not just passive activities. They're tuning forks that set the frequency of your entire field. And the quantum field, which connects everything to everything, reshapes itself around your dominant broadcast. But this field only responds to coherence. Think of it like a radio tower. If your mind is broadcasting one station, your heart another, and your actions a third, you're sending mixed signals into the matrix. The result? Static, confusion, delay. But when all parts of you, your thoughts, emotions, and choices vibrate as one unified frequency, the matrix responds with clarity. This is what the ancients called alignment, and what modern quantum scientists might describe as resonant entanglement. You see, the power of entanglement is not just that you can affect reality. It's that reality is already intertwined with you. The observer effect in quantum physics teaches us that the mere act of observation changes the outcome. But what if we took that deeper? What if observation isn't just passive awareness, but an energetic imprint? When you observe something with expectation, with belief, with conviction, you collapse probability into actuality. You bring the wave into a particle. You make the possible real. So what are you observing consciously or unconsciously? Are you observing through the lens of fear, expecting things to fall apart? Or through the lens of faith, expecting the universe to rise and meet you? Are you watching your life like a skeptic, waiting for proof before you believe? Or are you watching as a creator, knowing that belief is the proof the universe requires? Do you see the subtle but life-altering difference? This is why your inner world matters more than anything out there. Because the outer world is always catching up to your inner one. It's a delayed echo, a holographic reflection of the frequencies you've already sent into the field. So when you feel stuck or unclear, don't fight the mirror. Change the image you're projecting. Shift your thoughts. Tune your emotions. Align your actions. The mirror will follow, because it always does. Let us take this further. Entanglement isn't just about attracting things into your life. It's about becoming inseparable from the version of reality you desire. Imagine this. There is already a version of you who lives the life you're dreaming of. That version exists in the quantum field, not as fiction, but as a real, parallel potential. Your job is not to create that life, but to entangle with it, and to merge with it, to become so vibrationally identical to it that the field has no choice but to collapse that version into your now. But to do this, you must let go of the old version of you. You must be willing to release the beliefs, habits, and identities that are entangled with your current limitations. This can feel like death. And in many ways, it is the death of the false self. The ego will resist. It will fight to stay entangled with the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. Why? Because the ego doesn't care about happiness. It cares about predictability. But freedom lives beyond the predictable. So how do we shift our entanglement? Through repetition, through presence, and through embodied emotion. Repetition lays the foundation, thinking the thought until it becomes automatic. Presence anchors that thought into the now, making it real in the body, not just in the mind. But emotion is the amplifier. Emotion is the energy that binds thought to matter. That's why gratitude is so powerful. It's the vibration of already having received. And the field, responding to that signal, begins to deliver. This is where most people make a critical mistake. They wait to feel the emotion after the manifestation. But in the quantum field, it's the other way around. You must feel it first. You must become the vibration of your desire before it appears. That's the paradox. You're not reacting to your reality, you're creating it. So why wait for life to give you permission to feel joy, abundance, or love? Feel them now. Become them now. That is the secret to collapsing timelines. Now let's ask a deeper question. If your thoughts are entangled with reality, then who is doing the thinking? Who is the you that chooses what to focus on, what to believe, and what to expect? Is it the conditioned mind, shaped by society and memory? Or is it the deeper consciousness, the observer behind the thoughts? The more you identify with the observer, the more powerful your entanglement becomes. Because the observer is source. The observer is infinite. The observer is the field, remembering itself. And what if the people in your life are not just individuals, but entangled reflections? What if every relationship, every conflict, every connection is showing you something about your own frequency? This doesn't mean you are to blame for others' actions. But it does mean you are responsible for how you resonate with them. When you shift your internal state, the entanglement in your relationships shifts too. Sometimes people fall away. Sometimes they transform. But always, the field recalibrates. This is why forgiveness is so powerful. Not because it condones the past, but because it untangles you from it. When you hold resentment, you stay entangled with the version of your past that caused pain. But when you forgive not with words, but with energy, you release the thread. You free yourself. And in doing so, you change the entire web of your entanglements. The past stops repeating. The future opens. Let's go deeper still. Imagine your body as a quantum receiver. Your heart, your brain, your nervous system, they're all antennas. But if those antennas are blocked by stress, fear, or distraction, the signal gets distorted. Meditation clears the static. Breathwork opens the channels. Stillness brings coherence. And in that coherence, you begin to receive clear guidance, not from the outside, but from the field within. You don't have to chase signs. You become so aligned that signs chase you. But alignment is not perfection. It's not about never having fear or doubt. It's about noticing when you're out of tune and gently bringing yourself back. It's a practice, a dance between awareness and surrender. When you mess up, you don't collapse the field. You just momentarily distort it. But as you return to presence, forgiveness, and clarity, the field rebounds. The entanglement reestablishes at a higher frequency. Nothing is ever lost. Everything is always being recalibrated. So I ask you again, what version of you are you entangled with right now? Is it the one who doubts, fears, and waits, or the one who knows, feels, and receives? Are you living your life like a passive observer, or as a conscious sender of signals into the quantum field? Because the moment you truly understand that your thoughts are entangled with your future, your life will never be the same. You'll stop trying to manipulate the outer world. You'll begin refining your inner broadcast. Not from force, but from flow. Not from desperation, but from devotion. You'll become the artist of your own field, the master of your vibration, the architect of your entanglement. And in that mastery, miracles become momentum. You don't need to know how it will happen. You only need to become the frequency of it happening. That is the code. That is the bridge. That is the truth behind all spiritual teachings and all quantum science. You are not separate. You are not broken. You are the field itself, conscious, intelligent, awake. And when you remember this, you don't just change your life. You change the world around you. Part 3. The collapse of illusion, the rise of truth. There comes a silence so profound that it doesn't just quiet the noise, it reconfigures your entire being. In that silence, you begin to feel it. Not as a thought, not as a theory, but as a knowing. You are not in the universe is in you. Every person you meet, every object you touch, every event that unfolds is not separate from you, but entangled with you. This is not metaphysics. This is not metaphor. This is the deepest reality. Quantum physics has only begun to whisper, and your soul has always known. When we talk about quantum entanglement, we are not talking about invisible particles, we are talking about invisible potential. We are speaking of the bridge between consciousness and form, thought and matter, you and everything. And once you truly understand this, once you feel it in your breath, your bones, your tears, you stop trying to control life, and you begin to harmonize with it. You realize that every thought is a tuning fork. Every feeling a gravitational pull, every expectation an energetic agreement. But here is the most difficult truth. The reality you are living now is not a mistake. It is the exact vibrational match to your unconscious expectations, beliefs, and stories. This is not meant to shame you, it is meant to awaken you. Because if you created this, you can also create something else. If you are entangled with struggle, you can entangle with peace. If you are entangled with scarcity, you can entangle with abundance. But first, you must take radical responsibility not for what happens, but for how you relate to what happens. Responsibility is not blame. It is power. Blame keeps you entangled with the past. Responsibility cuts the cord to what no longer serves you. When you blame, you say, "I am not the cause." When you take responsibility, you say, "I am the creator." And in that moment, the field shifts. The quantum mirror begins to reflect a new image, one shaped not by fear, but by sovereignty, not by reaction, but by intention. Let's return to the core principle. Everything is frequency. Your bank account is a frequency. Your health is a frequency. Your relationships, your career, your emotions, all are frequencies projected into a shared field of infinite potential. When you hold a new frequency long enough, it begins to overwrite the old entanglements. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. A single insight can't change your life unless it becomes a new vibration, a new baseline, a new normal. This is also why many people fall back into old patterns after spiritual breakthroughs, because they mistake the breakthrough for the end of the work. But the breakthrough is just the beginning. The real work is in the moment-to-moment choice to stay entangled with the new you, even when the old world still echoes around you. Those echoes are not proof that you failed. They are the fading signals of a reality you're no longer fueling. So ask yourself, what do I want to feel every day? Not just achieve or own, but feel. Because feeling is the portal. Feeling is the frequency. And the field responds to feeling far more than thought. If you want to change your outer world, begin by mastering your inner emotions, not by suppressing them, but by transmuting them, by using fear as fuel, by alchemizing doubt into devotion, by turning longing into loving. Here lies another powerful key. You must learn to walk in the unknown, because the unknown is the birthplace of all creation. Most people resist uncertainty. They avoid risk, but in doing so, they remain entangled with predictable outcomes. If you want something radically different, you must enter the quantum field of possibility where nothing is certain, but everything is available. This is the sacred void, the womb of reality. And only those brave enough to surrender into it can birth a new dimension of self. But surrender is not passive. It is not weakness. It is the most powerful alignment there is. It means you are so entangled with your vision, so unified with your truth, that you no longer need to force anything. You become the center of gravity. You become the field. And all that matches your frequency begins to orbit you not as luck, but as law. And yet, even in this state, you will be tested. Not by a cruel universe, but by a wise one. You will be given opportunities to return to your old entanglements, to choose comfort over growth, illusion over truth, ego over essence. These moments are not setbacks, they are calibrations. The field is asking, are you ready to fully release who you were? Are you ready to collapse the illusion in favor of what's real? Because make no mistake, the greatest illusion is separation. The belief that you are separate from what you desire, separate from love, separate from God. But in truth, there is no distance between you and the miracle, only a frequency gap. And the moment you close that gap in your heart, your mind, your actions, the miracle becomes inevitable. So let's make it real. How do you walk through life as an entangled being? You begin each day in stillness. You tune your field before you face the world. You ask, what am I becoming entangled with today? And you choose consciously. You visualize not as fantasy, but as preparation. You don't wait to feel gratitude, you become it. You don't hope for peace, you embody it. You speak from the future as if it's already here, because in the field it is. You pay attention to your triggers not to shame yourself, but to trace the thread. Every trigger is an echo of an old entanglement. Follow it. Feel it. Release it. This is the daily work. Not glamorous, but quantum. Because every time you respond with presence instead of pattern, you collapse an old timeline and reinforce a new one. You also surround yourself with coherence, with people, environments, and inputs that match your desired frequency. Not because you are fragile, but because you are intentional. You understand that your field is sensitive, and you protect it not with walls, but with wisdom. You curate your reality like a sacred garden, and from that garden, miracles grow. And then, finally, you let go. You stop obsessing over when and how. You stop checking the mirror every minute to see if you've changed. You trust the entanglement. You know that once the thread is woven, the manifestation is inevitable. And you live from that knowing not as a performance, but as a presence. A surrendered, sovereign, sacred presence. And in that space, something extraordinary happens. Reality bends. Not because you forced it, but because you became the frequency that could no longer be denied. You entangled with a higher version of yourself, and the universe, being the perfect mirror, had no choice but to respond. So I ask you one final question. If you knew that your thoughts were entangled with reality, and that everything you feel, believe, and expect is shaping the next version of your life, what would you choose today? Who would you become right now? What would you stop waiting for and start being? Because this is not theory, this is truth. This is the secret the mystics whispered and the quantum physicists discovered.